Hello, I speak 5 languages. I haven't spent $1 for learning those languages. And our 4 daughters from age 7 till 14, they speak 3 languages. Plus they study English. And they're normal kids. And probably if you're struggling with learning languages and maybe it's coming so hard for you and you think that it would be great, or you maybe are confused what to do with your kids if they live in a multicultural way, what to do and how to solve all those problems coming with multi-language environment. Maybe my experience will be really useful and really support for you. Yes, I'm an interior designer and we are in our workshop, and as the channel is about interior and people living it. So today's conversation is about learning different languages, so in an easy way, in a nice and pleasant and easy way. So of course it's much easier for you to travel. Many business opportunities they open when you learn at least plus 1 language. Many study courses and universities, they are opened if they are specialists in a certain language and you can learn it. If, of course, it's all your world becomes much bigger. The idea I like about languages is that learning languages, knowing different languages, it really trains your brain and really helps your brain to become, to be young all the time. Actually, it's one of the way how to fight dementia, which is really popular in a negative way becoming right now, studying languages. Yes, and there are different myths about why people think that learning new languages is so hard, you have to spend lots of money, it can take lots of time and nerves and that's it. So my experience is like that. So if you want to learn another language, if you have to learn, there are so many refugees right now from Ukraine. Some of them they speak European and other languages, some not, but I know that many of them are studying languages. But the main important about knowing any language, the first is you have to find environment. For example, with my kids, they have never lived in Latvia. They will live in Poland, in Ukraine, but they speak Latvian just because they have environment means mommy. One person speaking that language can help you to study this language. Sometimes it's like that with children, if they live in different country and mommy is speaking another language, probably they will listen, they will understand, but they will not speak as you think that maybe they don't know language. They will change environment and go to, like with this example with my kids in Latvia, they will start to speak because they already understand, they have those words inside, they just have not the practice speaking. So don't worry, I actually haven't met any person suffering from that they knew too much languages. Environment can be, you can watch movies, on the beginning you will understand nothing. This is like many countries in Soviet Union actually learned Russian. I lived in a city where there were only few Russians, I didn't have any contact. But I watched Russian television and I watched Russian cartoons and movies, and somehow gradually, like by playing, I know that language. I still don't know the alphabet of the Russian language, but I really speak very good Russian. I can write, I can read, I can learn, I can run courses. So here you are, just I had this environment of, and I noticed that with languages it's like a cup. You just listen and you hear, and on the beginning you understand nothing, and probably you start to get used to the sound, and you have to start to learn some phrases and some words, and there is this critical, I don't know, way that suddenly in one day you can start speaking in that language. It was the same with me in Ukrainian. I lived in Ukraine, but actually I really understand the language, I can read, but because I had no really need to speak it, I didn't speak, but as the war started I realized that I want to speak this Ukrainian language, and with my husband we start to speak, and I see really great progress just in a few months, just with speaking, 2 of us, few minutes per day, and the language is going on. So probably, but the most important thing, you have to switch off the mood that speaking, learning languages, it's so hard, you have to struggle so much, you have to spend so much time and so much money. Probably you can, if you have this. I have noticed that the most important, you have to switch off the mood that you have to be perfect. I'm not perfect, probably not in any language, but I still can speak, I still can understand, that I can still study and travel and make business. And probably quite often this perception about speaking the right way comes from ungifted teachers, which told you probably somewhere in childhood that you are stupid, you are not gifted for languages. There are so many people believing that they are not gifted by languages, but for some amazing thing they can speak their native language. That probably it's not really true. That means you are gifted, you just believe the lie that learning language is so hard. Of course, there are people who are much, it's much easier for them to catch another language. But probably it's not even always the brain, it's belief that I can do this or I can do that. My husband was one of that he believed in the school. He was not really lucky with his English teacher. He saw that the only language he can speak is Russian. Now he speaks 3 languages. We went to Poland and there was no way. We had no Polish roots, and we had business and he had to speak, and just a few months he started to understand and he started to speak that language already. So it's not about gifted, it's about believing that you can do that. Yeah, and another question is about accent. There are people struggling about accent. The strange thing that maybe you can speak with no accent in any languages, but actually there are so many accents in English. So probably I wouldn't care actually. I know I have English accent, I have still some strange accent in Russian, some Latvian accent in Russian languages. And if I have to choose, do I speak with accent or I don't speak at all, I will speaking with accent. So here you are. And trying to be perfect, that's probably the enemy number 1 in learning languages. There is a myth that it's much easier to learn English. You can learn language only in childhood, after 3 it's too late. Of course, till about age of 6, as scientists say, you can catch any language in intuition level. This is how children they learn. They're not trying to learn language. They just hear some words and they repeat some phrases, and so it goes. The same actually is the same with adults as well. You can learn any languages at any age. I know great translators who just learn language at the age of 60 and they became really good translators, translating books from different languages which they didn't know half of their life. The risky thing about children that I know that parents, they are sometimes struggling that, if they will live in a multicultural, grandmother will speak one language and grandfather another and daddy another, and in school that they will be confused. I don't find that my children, they become confused. Of course, probably it can take more time for them to start speak any different separate languages, because on the beginning they get all this, but still one moment they don't mix. Of course they can stage that when they mix the languages, the sentences, the words, and it's okay. It can. I don't find it a problem. But there is one that age. I would say probably it's sometimes 4 or 5 or something. As I noticed that they can feel that that person is speaking Latvian and that one is Ukrainian, and they just switch so easy. And actually I've noticed that even when you speak few words, few phrases, if you're trying to speak the language of the country you're living it at, probably I've always find a support that people are helping you, and actually this is the way you find friends, because people, if you understand their language, they are much closer to you. And it's much harder to make that they are enemies because they speak different languages. Actually, so many wars are just specifically, separately made because of languages. It's just the way we express who you are. So, thank you for listening, and I wish you really success and enjoy learning new languages. If you're interested in our products, there are our Etsy shop, a link below. You can visit it and make orders. I would be really happy. Thank you for support and see you next time. Bye.